going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron, and make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube, and always rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What is going on, my friends? It feels like forever, but don't worry, we're going to have more regular shows coming out because camp is coming up. We're going to start off our countdown to camp. First things first, we're going to talk today about optimistic things about the Bears. Why to be optimistic? And then next show, I'll talk about why to be pessimistic. We'll flip this. We'll do good things, we'll do bad things, and then we preview all the different positions. And with these positions, we will be having our own set of player profiles coming out. So if you had our draft guides over in draft season, you're going to love these player profiles where I'm going to write my own write-ups on every single player that is worth noting, at least from the Chicago Bears standpoint. And then you can have your own copy so that, hey, when you're out there at training camp, you can flip this up and be like, who's that guy? Then you can see it. See that person's information out there. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for all those pieces. But today, we're going to be talking about why to be optimistic about the Bears. 5 reasons to be optimistic. And I know we're an optimistic show, but we have a lot of realistic takes that we have on this show. But today, the brakes are off. We are going straight optimistic, straight optimism out here. And I'm curious, if you're out there watching on YouTube, let me know, what are you optimistic about with the Chicago Bears? What is the thing that is getting you the most excited about this season? Because there's a lot. There's Caleb Williams out there that a lot of us are excited about, but I'll break down my 5 things that I'm optimistic about this year. So I already kind of talked about number 1, but number 1 is Caleb Williams. I don't know how it can't be Caleb Williams. Every year, and I'm live in Wisconsin, and there's Packer fans that are always like, oh, so this is the year that you're going to have a quarterback? Yes, we keep coming back to the well, and we keep talking about the next quarterback. But here's what's so important about this. We haven't seen, Justin Fields has been the closest thing to a quarterback of this magnitude. But also when you listen to what is going on at Pittsburgh, all reports about Justin Fields is, hey, you know this guy? He can't really throw it. And he's struggling throwing the football, which is what we've talked about from the Chicago Bears side. So it's very early, but all returns, it's like, yeah, you made a good decision to move on and just kind of go with the next guy. But Caleb Williams, we've talked about this so much. The talent that he is, he was projected to be the top guy. He was going to be the top person in the draft. And Caleb Williams, that's why he's exciting. Because Caleb Williams has the talent of, and the comps are Aaron Rodgers. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes. And still, watching his 2022 tape, I don't know many quarterbacks that can throw the football the way he did, right? Or the 2023 tape was a little bit worse, but 2022 tape, you see just the arm angles and early returns that we've already heard about out of camp. Now, the first day that the media was able to see him, not great. But I remember Brett Coleman, I believe it was, that was talking about the difference of coming from the YouTube side of things and then eventually being an actual credentialed media member. And he said the biggest thing that changed, in his opinion, was when, as a credentialed media member, being able to see the way a quarterback throws the football. Do they put this pop, this zip on the ball that others just simply don't? And to him, Caleb Williams is a guy that puts that pop, puts that zip on the ball. And then you hear the reports from the Chicago Bears media people. He's got a different type of throwing motion. He's got a different zip. He's got a different pop to him. And it's nice to see that is kind of transferring over from when we saw him before, when Brett saw him before, and then now seeing him in a Chicago Bears uniform or a practice uniform. Caleb Williams also is just kind of changing the vibe, the mood in the locker room, and all the BS that was happening in this offseason about how is he going to lead men? How is he going to lead this team? So far, Every single person in that Bears locker room, when asked about Caleb Williams, sings his praises. As soon as he comes in, they're like, okay, this guy leads with confidence. This guy leads he's not arrogant. He's very confident in himself. And arrogance, confidence, very, very close line. It really does seem like Caleb is just a confident individual. So for us, it's an exciting time to be a Bears fan. And that is my number one point of optimism is hopefully this time around, we got the quarterback right, because if he's right, everything else falls into place. So this leads me to number 2. The reason why I'm so optimistic about the quarterback, besides the player himself, is the weapons around him. Adding Keenan Allen to have this veteran wide receiver that can easily run routes. And yeah, he's 31 years old and he's been banged up a halfway decent time. Doesn't play a full 17 games. But still, having a veteran wide receiver that can run very crisp routes at old age, at 31, a lot of wide receivers drop off a cliff. I've seen this when I'm looking at whenever we look at wide receivers for the past handful of seasons, every wide receiver that's over 30 seems to drop. But why do I feel confident about Keenan Allen? Well, the people that keep that good level of play are people that win based on route running, not because of their athleticism. So the people like a Julio Jones, who is a Hall of Famer, you saw him just kind of completely drop. Why? Because he's always been a bigger and better and faster athlete than everybody else. Keenan Allen wins with route running. He's known for just setting people up and getting open. So having someone that you know can get open from the slot, that's another key thing. When people get older, it's better for them to be in the slot. It's just easier for them to create that separation. But you have DJ Moore. You have also Rome Odunze, who a lot of people are sleeping on, because I just keep hearing Bears media and I just keep hearing from people that Rome Odunze, that if you would put money on any rookie in this class to make the Pro Bowl be good, it's Rome Odunze. That Rome Odunze already looks good. And that's why I can't wait for camp, because I can't wait to see what Rome Odunze has to offer. 6'3", 215. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on just his natural size. Big guy, can come down with the ball. I still always project him to Mike Evans because he reminds me of Mike Evans. Not anything special after the catch that I saw on tape, but someone that can just simply be that possession receiver for you. And that's not even it, right? We're just talking about the wide receivers. But when you look at the tight ends, the Bears have 2 top 20 tight ends in Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet. And I do think that this is a great way to have this, because your tight ends are typically your safety valves, the easy throws, easy completions for your quarterback. So now Justin Fields has some pretty simple and easy passes that he can make down to his tight ends. And also you have wide receivers that should be open, that should be able to create mismatches. Who are you going to double? So if Keenan Allen does inevitably get injured, you have other people as well. You have other targets. And then you even look at the running back. They bring in a DeAndre Swift, someone who is an all-around running back. Khalil Herbert, we know that he can't pass block. And we know Roschon Johnson can, but he's not necessarily the dynamic running back that you'd want out there every single down. So Bears bring in Swift. You have all sorts of weapons around Caleb Williams, and that's why I'm optimistic. We haven't seen a quarterback have this many weapons around him. Also, with having a rookie in a Rome Odunze, you're so well set up for the future. Also, with having a DJ Moore, the future is bright at the wide receiver position. And the tight ends, we have Gerald Everett for multiple years. This is a very, very, very good group of weapons that we're putting around a young quarterback. So now, that's my number 1. Number 2, number 3, I'm actually going to flip over to the defensive side of the football. And yes, we got to talk about the secondary, because I love this secondary. The Chicago Bears secondary is fantastic. Now, we won't talk about the front 4. This is Optimism show only. But the back 5, or you could even say the back 7 with the linebackers. But really the secondary I want to highlight with Jalen Johnson coming off of a career year and really just being able to play healthy. Remember when we first had Matt Eberflus? He benched Jalen Johnson to prove a point. And now Jalen comes back, and Now he plays like one of the top corners in the league. You also have Jaquan Brisker, who's been playing like a solid safety. Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon were really figuring it out towards the end of the season. So you expect, or you hope, that they can parlay that and bring that in to this next season. Because Tyreek Stevenson, we said it during draft time when he was drafted. I know Johnny PayPal, who used to be on this show, he loved Tyreek Stevenson. And Stevenson is a very up and down player. And we saw more of those ups at the very end. He got more used to the NFL game speed, which is kind of the opposite that you see out of a lot of rookies. Sometimes they hit that rookie wall. Stevenson was just getting his stride. And that's what gets you so excited, because also Kevin Byard coming in for Eddie Jackson. And I think that people are sleeping on how big of an impact Eddie Jackson was last year. You ask any people in the secondary or hear any interviews, they talked about how Eddie Jackson was such a big veteran leader in this locker room. And some people probably heard that and scoffed at it and said, well, he didn't tackle. Well, it's different. Like, he had people over to his house. He was truly a leader for this team. And now you bring in Kevin Byard, another veteran. So you still have that veteran presence and someone who I think Kevin Byard does it the right way. He's just a fundamentally sound player, makes the tackle, will be in his zone. I really like the addition of Kevin Byard, just a pro's pro that you have in this room. If you were going to replace Eddie Jackson, which you needed to because of the salary cap hit that he was going to put on, and also Eddie Jackson hasn't been signed yet, so that shows you the NFL's mindset on him. But Kevin Byard comes in. I just really like it. The secondary is incredible. And we already heard it when they were doing 7-on-7s. They weren't allowing the wide receivers to get an open target at all. This secondary plays with fire. This secondary is the identity of this defense. Yes, as a Bears fan, I want these linebackers to be my identity. But man, this secondary is what's stealing that away from all the other position groups on this defense. They're dogs. They're chirpers. They'll get in your ear about everything. And that's why it's so exciting. You know, Stevenson is a talker. Jalen's a talker. Kyler Gordon is Kyler, man. Like, it's just an awesome unit. So I'm super high on the secondary and optimistic about them. And I can't wait to see them. So now we're going down to number 4 and number 5. I got 2 left. And this next one, it's hard to quantify. But why I'm optimistic, a reason for optimism for the Bears is the vibes. There's people in that walk around in the locker room that are saying this reminds them of the 2018 Bears vibes, where everything was starting to click, everything was starting to get moving. And yeah, you can look at this man up here, Matt Eberflus, with his new beard. And as weird as it sounds, we've talked about this on the show. The vibes are a real thing. You know that everybody knows this. That if you are in a good situation and the vibes are good things will happen. And right now, everyone's saying the vibes are good. And Caleb brings his own vibe to this offense. Caleb brings this different mentality where, remember last year, Justin Fields, yes, a lot of people respected him. But you heard Darnell Mooney, I believe it was, saying, yeah, you got to talk. You got to amp us up. You got to get us going a little bit more. Now, you can still lead as a quiet person. You don't have to be rah-rah in your face all the time, but it really does seem like Caleb is meant for this offense because the defense is already going to be chirping. And now you have Caleb, who's a competitive dog, who's going, I don't want this defense to beat me. I don't care if we're playing in Chicago. I don't care if they've never had a quarterback. This offense is going to be good. The vibes are different. The feeling's different. That's what people are saying. That's the players are saying that too. So the vibes overall are different, and that's a reason for optimism because think about the other coaches, right? We've seen this 2 times in a row now where the Bears draft a rookie quarterback in Mitch Trubisky, and then the next season the head coach is fired. Why is this different? Why is this a different situation? Well, how did we feel after Mitch Trubisky was drafted? Right? We were kind of pissed off. We were kind of angry about it. But also, the whole team was really kind of a leftover team. It wasn't this team that, okay, we're getting better. We're slowly going up. Instead, it's, hey, this is the team. This is what we have. And hopefully you can make something out of it. Same thing with Justin Fields. We had Andy Dalton. And really, the vibes weren't like this. There's an excitement to this team, and that's why I'm optimistic about at least the vibes. So before I get into my last and final reason, I want to bring up a couple little honorable mentions. And just on the defense, I want to bring this up first. So on the defensive side of the football, this was just an honorable mention with like Gervon Dexter, because Gervon Dexter to me is an honorable mention because I don't think it's necessarily optimism. I think we just hope he's good. We need him to be good. We want him to be good, but not necessarily something that's grounded. You could say he looked a little bit slimmer going into camp. Maybe he's going to have a quicker first step, but that's really kind of where the optimism, if you would say, is coming from. Or even you could say optimism would be Tremaine Edmonds coming together after his second season and playing more like he did for the Bills, because now we have their defensive now at defensive coordinator, we have someone that he knows. But the other spot that I could have said, this was my number 6, was the offensive tackles. Yes, the offensive tackles, because I like Braxton Jones. And Braxton Jones was a phenomenal run blocker his first season and good pass blocker his second season, but then had a neck injury early on. And I think coming back from that neck injury, you should see Braxton Jones play better. But also with Darnell Wright, you listen to anybody that understands offensive line play, like the offensive line gurus, the experts, they will tell you, Darnell Wright, this guy knows it. This guy knows how to be good. This guy will be good. It just takes a year or two for an offensive lineman to really come into his own, and that's where Darnell Wright, you're hoping that this year he will turn into that. So, if it's not any of them, who's number 5? So I kind of cheated with this a little bit, and I'm actually going to give credit to this man right up here, Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles in cap management, the future of the Bears, if you will, is what I'm optimistic about. Because the way that Ryan Poles has managed the cap and managed this team by the complete rebuild, blowing everything up, and then being very, very smart, being very analytical about what deals he provides people. Because if you look at the Bears cap situation next season, or after this season, the Bears will have around $60 million, $61 million according to overthecap.com next season. And you look at some of these deals too, well, they could get out of Tremaine Edmonds' deal if they want and have a $4 million cap hit. They could get out of the Nate Davis deal and only eat $2 million, so they would save $9.5 million. So not a great selection, but they will be able to get out of that. And same thing with DeMarcus Walker at $5.2 million. But still, DeMarcus Walker's deal actually goes down to less than $6 million. So just his overall management of the cap and setting this team up for the future, because we have 2 second-round picks next season, and we have $61 million in cap space for next season as well. So I didn't check to see where that's at, but I guarantee you that's top 10. That's easily top 16, probably top 10 in cap space for next season. And this team we're already feeling optimistic about. And keep in mind too, next season when it comes down to your free agents, your big free agents are Keenan Allen and Tevin Jenkins. Those are your big ones. Those are your big unrestricted free agents. I do know that Jack Sanborn will be a free agent, but he's a restricted free agent, so very different. But then the other ones, Larry Borum, Khalil Herbert, and Coleman Shelton, are the only other 3 that are really kind of noteworthy out of this entire group. So you're talking about 2 people that you might want to re-sign. And you have $60 million in cap space next season, 2 second-round draft picks. That's something to be optimistic about, because it's not just about this season. He has such a good plan together with this team that this team can turn into something. If this season isn't great, we have the flexibility to pivot, to switch, to attract big name free agents next free agent period, depending on what we do and how we do it. And that's why we can be optimistic about the Bears this year. That's why I'm optimistic about the Bears. Let me know what you're optimistic about if you haven't already down in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe out there, because next we'll be talking about 5 reasons to be pessimistic. I might change that more, just like all that I really want to do is just talk about some of the things that might happen. Might be some regressing, might be some other pieces like that, just to be on the lookout for. So some cause for concern, just things to look out for that aren't so peachy for next season, because I want to cover both sides of the coin. And then we'll be talking about our camp breakdowns, our camp profiles, where we will break down every single position for the Chicago Bears and talk about all the players that you need to know about. So make sure to like and subscribe. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a